Hello, lovelies, and welcome to the Goddess Evolution online retreat. I'm your host, Shantana Talise, and today we are here with a very special guest, and together we will be revealing the secrets on how to channel the divine to heal your past lives and timelines. Beth, would you please introduce yourself and tell us what it is that you do?
Well, like you just said, everything. I am Beth Dobler. I'm an intuitive spiritual counselor. I do energy healing. I work with clearing people's timelines. I do clearing process, clearing personas, which most frequently are points of pain that have gotten locked in your timeline and in your body from trauma from past lives or even from mother's or father's genealogical line. It could even be, a fracture from this life. But the clients that I've worked for years with can testify to this, that there's always more. It's because we, like an onion, you peel the top layer and then there's another, and then you peel that and there's another. And that is not to say that no one ever gets to the end. It's just that's the process of living in this incarnation at this time in this 3D earthly realm where more light is coming in, and we are all being invited to be everywhere with our light, to know what we know, to bring through the divine wisdom, intelligence that resides within us, and to flow in what more we are here to be, do, have, and create. So in that way, how I work is I really do everything that is available to me. Now, that doesn't mean I do everything. I am not advertising, holding myself out to be someone who does hands-on physical healing, and yet sometimes that happens. I am a medium, but I don't do strict mediumship sessions because that is also not what I'm called to do. And yet sometimes that's what the whole session is about. Or I meet someone and, the conversation quickly turns to that subject because that's what's meant to happen. So what does all that mean? If you channel the divine feminine and rely upon that right brain, intuitive heart connection, and come from the heart or the gut brain intuitively, you're going to open to what is available to you and what you're here to do. And in that flow state, anything is possible. If you at all, the Olympics have been going on, and if you or any one of our viewers has watched that and seen some of those gold medal performances, you are witnessing a flow state. Because in order for somebody to conquer the mind, the body, the heart, the soul, and bring it all in that moment where all eyes are on them, I can't even imagine the stress of that. That's flow. That's what I do. And it's a funny far cry from being a trial attorney and a prosecutor, which is where I started. So, ask something, anything, you can take it away from there.
That's what I was going to ask. My next question. What got you into doing this?
Well, actually, I would say the call from the divine, which how it happened was, it's the shortest way. I had always told my children, I have two daughters, and they're both, one is in her late 40s, the other one's in her 30s. So they've been around a while. And I had always told them from the time my oldest daughter was 3, we're going to live in California. And I was a trial attorney, and it was powerful in the beginning. I did some good work, but mostly I was playing in a very deeply embedded, misogynistic, patriarchal power dynamic that was not at its heart about justice or doing the right thing or even helping people. It was about money and power. So it didn't serve me. And how I got there was when I was a child, I had a fever and had the flu and stayed home from school for a week. And they brought in the little portable black and white TV. At that time, I think I was 10 or 11. And I had this dream to be an actor. Now, I didn't know any actors. So here you go with the first intuition and channeling. But somehow I knew that most actors have to have day jobs. How did I know that? Past life? I guess because I didn't know anybody, but I knew that. And I was able to stay up late watching TV because I wasn't going to school. And a program came on that I would never have seen because it didn't start till like 10 or 10:30. And it was called Judge for the Defense. And it was a Texas lawyer with a big hat, cowboy hat, who tried jury trials. And I remember sitting up saying, that's what I'm going to do. It's only 12 people in a box. They can't clap, but they can't leave, and I'll have a paycheck. And from that point forward, I determined I will be a trial lawyer, not realizing until my freshman year of law school, I was not going to be in front of a jury every day. I was mostly going to be in a suit with one of those, this was the 80s, bolero ties that women were wearing back then, and be in an office all day. And I was crushed because I heard that bit, but I didn't know how to bring through the rest. Now, it wasn't wrong for me to be a lawyer. Every kind of chart that I've ever had done, the scales of justice, balance, all that comes through. I learned a lot, and I could have gotten here more quickly if I had some help learning how to open and understand. And then come fast forward nearly 30 years later, and I am just miserable. Both my daughters live in California. My older one had twin grandsons that were at that time 2.5. And I was drinking too much, eating too much, very unhealthy, very miserable. I had fallen asleep on a work night in my work clothes with the TV on and a half a picture of Cosmopolitans left in front of me, even though I was probably drunk when I got home from the happy hour with the lawyers. And I had dry tears on my face. And I heard a voice that said, you will not survive if you continue to live like this. And there it was. I put steps in motion. The actual story is too long for this focus, but the bottom line is nothing worked the way I planned it with my left brain, mental mind, egoic nonsense. And once I surrendered that and began to move into the flow, allowing the divine feminine to come through, to speak to me, to guide me, to inform me about what I actually was here to do next. From there, I moved out here. Those little twin boys, nothing worked. All my plans did not work. But what happened was my daughter got a new job. They needed a new nanny. I became the nanny personal assistant. And the little boys taught me everything I needed to know about opening, channeling, and receiving, starting with the one they are nicknamed the accountant and the Buddha boy for the obvious reasons. Even though they're both Buddha boys, the Buddha boy is not an accountant. In fact, even at the age of 16, I've never said this publicly. The accountant is going to be my executor of my estate. I've already told him that the people I picked who are my age that are in my will currently, I'm like, they're not going to make it. You're the one. And he's like, okay, just give me a second to understand how it all works. So we have created, through the time that we spent, this beautiful exchange where they're able to open their intuition channel and bring things forth. And they inspire me to do that, and I inspire them to do that. And it's a beautiful circle that just keeps on going and flowing. And it all started with the Buddha boy telling me that there was treasure in the dirt and then showing me, which brought me to a state of stillness and being. I was always 10 steps ahead and blaming myself for stuff that happened 10 steps behind. It was not very easy for me to be present and still. I was a single mom. I went to college as a single mom, had another kid, became a lawyer, the whole 9 yards. Nothing was easy the way I did it. And I allowed that push to drive me until I got out here and everything opened up. And I was able to realize I've been receiving these messages all my life. I just didn't regard them. I mean, I'm not saying I didn't pay attention. I just treated them like that was something everybody did, heard voices that warned them of danger, which for a long time, that's all I got because that's all I was willing to receive.
Wow.
It was a big leap, a very big leap. And now when I look back, been here 14 years, I can't believe that I ever was that person. but
Yeah.
I was
So,
arguing and fighting with cops and things like that. I mean, that just makes no way, no way.
so if you or getting like working with your working with your clairs, what do they come through different ways now? Like, do you get guidance with more clairs, or is it mainly your clair audience?
I get it through all of them, including the lesser known, like Claire gustatory, taste, smell, that sort of thing. In the beginning, when I was studying and consciously moving into embracing my gifts, it was mostly clairaudient and clairvoyant. Clairvoyant, not in the sense of prescient seeing into the future, but seeing things. So I'd be in meditation, I'd go into the viewing room, and there would be this white screen, and a few words would appear, and then I would have to interpret that. Or I would see an image. I had a lot of animated images that would come that I would then have to interpret. I also clairaudiently, I not only hear voices at times, so that is really not happening that much anymore. I hear messages through songs, through music, through television, through movies. I mean, it's again, that has kind of slowed down, but there was a time when I did not go to a concert, a movie, or watch television without a pad and pen next to me because of the stuff that was going to come through. In fact, I used to, when I was working on courses to teach people how to open and all of the things we're talking about, I frequently would write them while watching old Law and Order, because Law and Order soothed my left brain mental mind, and I didn't have to even pay attention because I had already seen them anyway, and then I could let the right brain stuff, the divine feminine, come through. Now, all these years later, I am primarily receiving clairgnostically, which is a sense of just knowing that, like, I think of my friend and think last night, yeah, it's been a while. We haven't connected. And this morning she texted me and said, it's been a while since we haven't connected. Like that. And it, for me anyway, I would guess for a lot of people that clairgnosticism, it's one of the most powerful clairs. It's one of the most challenging because there's no sign. There's no nothing. It's just a sort of sense. And at least for me, it's not like I know, okay, she's going to call me. No, I'll think of the person. I'll have a thought that is confirmed when she does call, that there's something in that area going on, but I don't get the connection that directly. So it requires a huge amount of surrender, trust, and allow, because it's always right. When you're in the zone, when you're in flow, when you are connected to the divine, when you are connected to your guides, to your team, to your ancestors who are longing for us to clear our timelines. When we clear stuff in our timeline, when we do our work, we clear it for our lineage, past, present, and future. So they're all going to line up when you're doing this work to support you, because it impacts them as well. So that's kind of the progression of how the opening to my clairs has developed. When I first started studying and training, I was told, right now, your clairaudience is the strongest, and it was. You are very evenly balanced in all the clairs, and they will come up at different times as needed when you need to move into a different state of beingness. So there have also been times, not even within the past year, where I feel like everything is shut down. I can't do anything. I mean, there have been times when I've had to reschedule something because it's like, it's not true. The first time it happened, I was very scared. I'm like, what's happening? Have I lost my gifts? Is my mojo gone? And then I realized, like a computer, when it's being up leveled, when there's downloads happening, when operating systems are being up leveled in your computer, you can't use the computer while that's happening. You have, like, when it says a restart is required, there's a new upload that needs to be put on your computer. Click here if you want to do it. It'll take 20 minutes. That's what I was going through. was the uploading. So it opened the door for me to understand that when things are quiet, that's a really precious gift. So roll with it, because something bigger is coming on the other side.
I feel like when things are quiet is also when it can get uncomfortable because you're always in that go state of daily life. So when things are quiet, that's usually when the most change happens because you're actually forced to surrender to
That's
that moment.
right. Or alternatively, if you don't, you're going to obstruct and it's going to all take longer. They're going to get you one way or the other, right? I had to be drunk and laid out on a weekday for them to be able to get that message through to me. You will not survive if you continue to live like this. So stay open and stay surrendered if you want to bring forth what more is longing to come through you, if you want to tap into those gifts. And the other thing about channeling and intuitive gifts is when it's happening, believe it. Because if you wipe it out or you ignore it, as I did for so many years, as I said, earlier years, primarily the way that it came through was when I was in danger. I have been saved at least 3 times that I can remember from dying by my angels. And that was all I could get, all I would allow for like the first 20 years of my life. And then after that, I was more open, but was still all warning type stuff. It took all that. I mean, I was 53 when I moved out here. And it took till then for me to fully open. Even when I heard that voice, I knew that was the divine talking, but I treated it in my head like me and you are talking right now. I didn't give myself permission to move into, wow, look at this is really cool. This is something special. I assumed and presumed that this was what happened to everyone without ever asking anyone. I was never told as a child that it was bad to hear voices or talk to the angels or none of that. But I just dismissed it in terms of the level of importance. Like right now, I'm getting a ringing in my ear. That was happening all the time it doesn't happen too much now. I didn't know what it meant, but I would just say, okay. And then I started trying to figure out what it meant and went through all these processes and worked with all these different people. Like, what is this? Clairaudience? Oh, okay. But what does it mean? I don't know. And someone finally told me, you're not always meant to know in English what it means. They don't speak language like we do. It's enough to acknowledge it and receive it. Just say, I accept the download. Changed everything. It removed all the stress around what does this mean and what am I supposed to do? And it gave me permission to surrender, to receive, and then to trust and allow what was coming forth. Even now, when I've been doing this for a long time, and let's say working with the client I've been working with for years, so there's a huge trust factor. Every now and again, while I'm bringing something forth, I stop. I mean, I can do it. I can keep talking. Like right now, I'm talking to you, but I'm checking inside. Is this real? Am I channeling right now? And I get the yes, and it's like, just keep going. Because it sometimes feels like I'm just talking, except I can sense this is not my words. These are not, strictly speaking, my thoughts. But I could very easily go the other way and let the egoic, fear-based mental mind talk me out of it. And that could block everything. My brother, he travels, astral projects. He's a master astrologer. He will not do charts for anyone because he thinks they won't be any good and he can't do it. So he just blocks. He does. I mean, I'm like, dude, I introduced him to a colleague and he was going to have a session with her. And she contacted me the day before and said, you need to tell your brother to stop showing up at my bedroom window. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He is in the Midwest. You're in Texas. Oh, no, he wasn't physically here, but he was at my window. She'd never seen him before. She's gifted too. And so I called my brother and I said, she said this. were you there? And he goes, oh, yeah, I was. I knew it was inappropriate. And I'm like, did you? This was just like 5 years ago. And he's older than I am. And I'm like, you mean you astral projected? He goes, well, yeah, if that's what you call it. And I said, how long have you been doing this? All my life. So it's a pattern in my family that everyone has these gifts, but until the last decade or so, nobody was talking about it. And he's still stuck because he has these amazing gifts. I can't astral project like that. I mean, if I do it, I don't know that I'm doing it. So I certainly can't do it on purpose. And he even apologized to her and said, I know I shouldn't have done that. But try to get him to go forward and do something with those gifts, that's not available to him. He doesn't have enough faith. He doesn't have enough trust. Or he just doesn't want to. It's okay if you're not ready. It took me 53 years to start getting ready.
See, I feel like that's a thing that a lot of people are like, oh, I'm too old at this point to do it, or like, or there's a lot of, I went to a psychic and she told me, don't tell people your age because, and I didn't, she was wrong on everything. So, but she said, don't tell people your age because, especially like in my work, because they're not going to want to work with you because you're so young. And most people only want to work with somebody older because they have more experience. And I was like, so it kind of comes both ways where there's a lot of judgment towards younger. And then there's also people like, well, I'm too old now to do it. So there's no point. But it doesn't matter what stage you're at when you open up and you like allow it to flow properly, like things can build and miracles happen.
That's right. And they don't happen if you aren't allowing, if you aren't in a flow state, if you aren't in a receptive mode of surrendering to receive. It's not, I mean, that old parable about the guy stranded on the desert island and he's praying to God for saving him. And then in the end, a boat comes, a big ship comes, a canoe comes, a helicopter comes. He sends everyone away. I'm waiting for God. And then he's starving and he's crying to God, why didn't you save me? And God said, you wouldn't let me. I tried. So that's the thing too. That's my brother. He's not letting it serve him or help other people in the way that it could. And is that bad? No, that's just what it is. That's all that's available to him now. In fact, the Buddha boy, just before he turned 3, was in the car looking out the window. And now I know, back then I did not. That's when he's channeling, because he would look out the window and go into a zone. And if you called his name, you'd have to do it like twice to get him to answer. And at this particular time, he's looking out the window and he says, I can't know that. And I look in the rearview mirror back at him in his car seat and I say, what, honey, what can't you know? That. And turns to the window. And I said, but what is that? Can't know it. And years later, sharing that story with a colleague, they said he was being given guidance about what he was supposed to do in this life. And this person didn't know him. He has a strong Egyptian connection to Isis. He was a cat back in that life. And this little boy used to literally speak cat. He could talk to cats that were distressed that no one else could talk to. He would wake up from a nap and meow. I mean, he really was bringing all this through. So that this person was able to clock all of that without knowing him, unlike your experience with the psychic, gave legitimacy to the pronouncement that he was receiving directions and guidance at that moment. And he was telling them, dude, I am not even 3 years old yet. I cannot know that yet. And that was that. So that's true for all of us. At moments, we can't know how it does. Its age is not the factor.
Mm-hmm.
That guy helps me all the time. Can I count on it? No, he's 16. He sometimes is absolutely like, I am not going there, leave me alone. But other times when I need some inspiration, I get it from them. And they're young. I have clients that have transformed and opened so much. One just turned 30. She thinks, I'm so old to be opening up now. And I'm like, you are cuckoo. It's not a factor. You are so young. Forget that. Forget age, because age only goes with the patriarchal structure in the linear whole flow of this 3D realm. This is temporary, however long it lasts. That inside is eternal. So age is no factor. So I think, as you said, everything this psychic told you was not on point. Tell everyone how young you are and how exceptional it is. Let them come to the conclusion of how exceptional it is that you have opened so strongly. It didn't take you decades of pain and agony fighting your gifts to open to them.
Nah, Spirit only gave me a couple of years and they were like, no, sorry. Because I grew up psychic my whole life. And I shut it out. I think they gave me a 3-year, no, 2-year break. That was it. That was all they would give me. And then they ripped my life apart and they were like, get your head out of your ass. Let's go.
I know that feeling. The hardest part is getting out of your own way. Whether it's from an idea or a belief that you're holding from someone suggesting it now, or something you brought through from your past life, from your timeline, from your ancestry, get out of your way and just do what you're here to do. And by all means, be happy and joyous while you're doing it, because so much of the time, what is my purpose? What am I here for? Be happy. Again, the Olympics, look at the gymnastics, the women's gymnastics. There was so much joy in the competition. They were celebrating each other. The ones they're competing against, they are still able to bring joy and happiness. And there was a lot of talk about how this was something they had to learn because they were not trained to be that way. But it didn't help their stress levels in their mind. And they realized that being happy and doing the competition for the love of the sport, it made them happier, and they felt better, and they performed better. So the same thing is true. Though we are not elite athletes, we are all elite divine beings. So if we open to what that can look like, we can manifest a flow state like that.
So we have a couple minutes. Can you share with the audience what your free gift is?
My free gift is a very short, emphasizing the short because it is usable and readily available. It's a meditation to sync and connect, and it is an introduction, if you will. It's a guided, energy-infused meditation, but then it stops so you can go on. And for some people who are new to meditation, which is the key to channeling, whatever you call it, you might spend time in nature, in stillness. I mean, meditation is not just sitting there oming it up. Meditation can occur while you're sweeping or taking a shower or walking. It's going within and connecting above and below with the universe. And so if you're new to meditating, it's a really nice MP3 because it's short, and you might just do the connecting and be done for that day. But the idea is to increase the length of time, because the magic for receiving divine feminine intuition channeling comes on about the other side of about 30 minutes of meditation, which when I started meditating when I was in high school, but it didn't stick because drugs were more fun. Or so I thought. But now that I don't do drugs anymore, and I have learned how to enter and maintain a flow state, meditation does get me there. You have to be willing to go, as you said, it can be challenging to do whatever the next step is. Your life had to be ripped apart for you to get on the path that you signed up to be on. So too, when you're meditating, it's going to be uncomfortable and like this. Oh my gosh, it's only been 1 minute. But keep at it. because that's where the magic happens. That's where the miracles happen. That's where you can tap into the divine feminine and move into manifesting flow. And that's what the free gift gives you the leg up to start doing that.
Thank you so much. You guys make sure you click that link down below and claim that amazing free gift. Would you end us off with a little healing or a message, whatever you feel called to do?
Okay, so there's a lot of energy of resistance in the world right now. So if everyone would just take a moment and close your eyes if that's available to you, if you're in a space where you can't, focus on a focal point out there in front of you, drop your attention into your heart space, connect above and below to the earth and to the heavens, and then draw your attention into your heart. In the center of your heart, there is a sacred 8 infinity symbol, gold, with precious gems of all colors encrusted within that gold, running horizontally. Take a breath in and integrate your frequency with that of this sacred 8 infinite energy of abundance, of flow, of light, of love, of joy, of compassion. Take another breath in and notice that there's now a sacred 8 infinity symbol that is diamond white, flowing vertically. The two connect, the horizontal and vertical in the center. And you have now born within you the very basic structure of the flower of life. Tune into the center point where the two 8s connect and take a breath in. And repeat after me. I am free and confident in my freedom. I am free and confident in my freedom. I am free and confident in my freedom. Take one last breath in, opening to what more you are here to be, do, have, and create, pledging to receive and surrender into that, trusting what is yours to do. Take one more breath in. Call all your energy back from above and below. Call all your conscious awareness back from wherever it is and place it in the central channel that flows in front of your spine from crown to root. Put a smile on your face. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Mother, Father, God, and all of the divine. And then as you're ready, open your eyes. Take a look about the room that you're in, the space that you're in, just noticing what you notice, giving your body a moment to integrate those higher vibrational frequencies. And go forth and flow. Drink a lot of water, even though that was a quick up-leveling. We want to keep things flowing so whatever might need to be released can be flushed out, and stay grounded.